So here on the show, we rail against the national media jabroni haircuts because of the way that they portray the Minnesota fighting Vikings. They're always hating on the Vikes, always crapping on Kirk Cousins. Basically, anyone who comes in contact with the Vikings, unless their talent is undeniable, a la Justin freaking Jefferson, they're just like, boo, horrible, terrible choice, poverty franchise, the worst, right? And in comes Stephen A. So when I was growing up, Stephen A., he was delightful, man. I liked him. I thought that he was great on television. I thought his radio program was great too. But now, since he basically is ESPN, I think he's spread a little bit too thin. And I mean, there's some times when Stephen A., every single time, this is the way that the studio shows are set up now. They have to have a binary, all-in, black and white take on whatever it is. Like, they can't be like, I don't know. So he has to dig in and be like, this is 100% this way. Hey, if you disagree, you're a bad man, or something like that, right? But Justin freaking Jefferson, obviously superstar wide receiver of the Vikings, the best young wide receiver in the game. He was on First Take, the remnants of First Take. I didn't know. When did Skip Bayless leave? I don't know. Apparently he's been on Fox for a while. Whatever. But he's been on there. It's Super Bowl week. All these athletes are hyping up products and whatnot. Jefferson, Old Spice. By the way, whoever came up with the marketing for Old Spice in like the last decade, phenomenal, man. But so Stephen A. been on here, and the media does hold sway with some of these players, right? So some of the players believe some of what these media people are spinning, right? And if you just repeat a lie enough, eventually it will become a fact where, hey, if Justin Jefferson sees all these media outlets crapping on the Vikings, maybe in the back of his mind, he's like, maybe I should leave the Vikings. And Stephen A., I mean, he just did it again. Where first off, he didn't even know that the Vikings were hiring Kevin O'Connell. Like, he talked about, they fired Zimmer. We don't know what they're going to do next. The host, Molly Querim, had to come in and be like, oh, yeah, they're hiring Kevin O'Connell. You know, the offense coordinator of the Rams. You know, the guy who's going to be in the Super Bowl in a hot second. Yeah, that guy. And also Stephen went on this amazing diatribe. Our friends over at Viking Wire put this up about, hey, Jefferson, you had 1,600 yards this year. You would have 2,000 if you didn't play in the cold weather of Minnesota. All right, so this is what he said. How in the hell do you feel about playing in Minnesota? It's cold there. It's just too damn cold. It's so cold. Hey, listen, man, I know y'all are playing indoors, but it's so damn cold out there that you got to thaw out. You had 1,600 yards, but if you were playing in someplace like LA or Miami, I think you'd be a 2,000-yard receiver, for crying out loud, which is just amazing. Where he doesn't factor in that Miami plays on the road in New England, Buffalo, and New York 3 times a year, or the Rams and the Chargers, they have to go to cold weather as well. He doesn't factor that in. And also, I think he corrected himself mid rant, where it's like, hey, I know you guys play indoors, but it's cold in Minnesota, even though it's a pristine 72 degrees Fahrenheit inside historic US Bank Stadium. It's just ridiculous, man. And he's already, you could tell what Stephen A. was trying to do. And every single media appearance, whether Jefferson is on with Colin Cowherd or wherever, they're just trying to drive a wedge between Jefferson and the Vikings. Because Stephen A. started out, well, I'm not going to bring up Kirk Cousins because that's going to be a whole thing. Right, so basically just put out there is like, hey, I want to crap on your quarterback, which I'm sure that you want to do as well. It's a very leading question, but hey, I'm an impartial journalist. Get out of here. Also, he asked, what do the Vikings need to make it to the Super Bowl? Like the Bengals, you know, your former teammates, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Don't you want to go join them after your rookie deal is up, huh? Even though, hey, it's pretty cold in northern Kentucky. Plus, it's not like, oh yeah, the Browns, oh yeah, the Ravens and the Steelers, not like they play indoors either. So your entire point about cold weather goes out the window if you join the Bengals, man. Like, balmy northern Kentucky in December. Great, man. But it's so frustrating. Like, it's so hard to be a Vikings fan as is, but when the media is putting their thumb down on the scale against your team, trying to sow division and schisms within your star players and the team as well, it's just horrible, man. Just horrible. But, man, you know, Stephen A. is not a bad man. He's bad, man. Come on. Get out of here. But props to Justin Jefferson. He did give a lot of love towards Kevin O'Connell again. And his whole comments about, I've never had a coach on the offensive side of the ball, I don't think that's necessarily a slight at Zimmer, because, I mean, Ed Orgeron was from the defensive side of the ball too. I mean, LSU had Joe Brady in that 2019 season, so that's whatever there. But I hate it. I don't like it, man. I don't like it. But that's why we call him the national media jabroni haircuts, even though Stephen A's hairline's receding, man. Just get out of here with this nonsense. Let us support our team, call balls and strikes, drop your bias. And where does this stem from? I want to know, because it isn't all Kirk Cousins, but he certainly doesn't help things, where the media has hated Kirk Cousins ever since Michigan State. Go Sparty. They hated him in Washington. They hate him now that he's on the Vikings. But what is it? I mean, even going back in the day, even when Randy Moss and Culpepper, like, hey, when's Randy going to leave and join a real team, huh? All that stuff. Going back to Denny Green. And I'm not old enough to remember. Did it happen in the 80s? Did they hate Jerry Burns? I mean, did they hate Joe Kapp and Fran Tarkenton back in the day too? Did they actually hate Bud Grant? Huh? I don't get it, man. I will never understand the media's hard-on against the Vikings. But what can you do? What can you do? Hey, that's why we thrive, because the media sucks. What can you do? But your thoughts are our thoughts. Stephen A. trying to get Jefferson out of town. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.